Hey guys, have you ever wondered if you are a good parent or a bad parent? I know sometimes having a 9 to 5 job, you're in a position where you have the money and you can provide. However, you don't have the time,
Right.
and vice versa, right?
Yeah.
When you're in entrepreneurship, you have the time, but you don't have the money. So in this video, we're going to be kind of sharing our story, sharing some of the problems, the pain points, and the solutions that we've experienced, and see if we can help you guys out with making that decision, right? So if you guys don't know who we are by now, my name is Dominique,
And my name is Felicia.
and together we are the entrepreneur couple. And in this video, we're going to be talking about good parent, bad parent, 9 to 5 job,
Mm,
entrepreneurship, parenting, and all of that good stuff. I'm excited. You excited?
I'm excited.
Yeah. Listen, the first reason why I'm excited, I'll tell you this. We have been trying to shoot this video for the last 4 days. so, there's a guy outside blowing leaves right now. So if you hear him, don't worry about that. Aaliyah and Grace is upstairs. If you hear them crying, don't worry about that.
Mm,
Sweetie's over there barking. So if you hear him barking, don't worry about that. And this is exactly what happens in entrepreneurship too. When you
yeah,
decide to make money from home, or make money online, you're gonna have to deal with all of this stuff in the background.
facts.
So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna ask you a couple questions. I guess you could ask me a few questions, and then
Hmm.
we try to get this done as quickly as possible. All right?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So you want to go first? I'll go first.
You could go first.
I can go first. Okay. So let's
Set
talk
the
about it.
tone.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Before I met you, you were already a mom.
Yes.
You already had a job.
Yes.
What was that like being a mom? Um, you also had an entrepreneur spirit in you because you had a hair care line.
Correct.
So what is it like being a mom trying to provide, and what made you make that jump to say, you know what, entrepreneurship is the way for me?
Well, growing up, I grew up with a Caribbean mom from Haiti, and she came to the States, of course, for a better
Hmm.
living, to be able to bring in income, etc. And she worked hard. She worked hard. I didn't see her, because she was always working, and she provided. She's a great mom. She was just working hard.
Hmm.
And as I got older and I started to be able to realize and notice things, I realized that my mom working hard was still complaining about money.
Mm.
She was still complaining, like she's going to work for money, but she still comes home complaining about she needs more, she needs more. And if she needed more
This is
money,
while she's working.
this is while she's working. And if she needs more money, that means that she would have to work more, which means I would have to not see her more. And so, it was just kind of weird to me that you work for money, but you're still complaining about money. So
Hmm.
then, as I got even a little bit more older, I realized that, like the job is just not enough. But I think what was the big pivot point for me was when my mom got hurt at work. And, I
Mm.
take care of all her paperworks. I know her social by head, all her
Right, right.
information, and she got hurt at work. And I think it was around the time where she could retire too. And I, I was sending out the paperwork, and they were just giving her a difficult time for her to get paid, like disability checks, etc. And finally, when she was like, "I'm just going to take my Social Security early," I was like, "Okay, so let me fill out the paperwork for that." And then Social Security was only going to be paying her $1,200 a month.
Right.
We had just bought a house, probably like 5 years, less than 5 years, and they were only giving her 1,200, and our mortgage is 23. And I'm like, we've dealt with hard times where, like, the lights turned off, we don't have no gas, so there's no food being cooked, etc. And I said, oh my God, like you gave.
This is while you was in Brooklyn, or while you in oh, it's in Queens. This
This
has
is
in
in
Queens.
Queens,
Okay, yeah,
yeah.
because you got the house already.
Right. So then while all of this is happening, I'm thinking like, okay, wait. So you get the house that you always
Hmm.
dreamed of. You're working the job that you don't mind working.
Hmm.
However, you're still complaining about money. And then when it's time to retire, you only have $1,200 a month coming in. That doesn't even take care of half the
Right,
bills.
right.
And I was like, and then you get hurt at the job, and practically the job don't give no damn about you. And now you gave about 35 years of your life to a
Hmm.
job to reap $1,200 a month.
What does she do for work?
She was an HHA.
Okay.
She used to take care of, older people. And I said, this ain't it. Like I'm
Right,
not I'm
right.
not trying to work 30, 40 hours to still be broke.
I think that's a
30, 40
Caribbean thing.
years to still be broke,
Right.
you know? And so I said, okay, I got to figure this out. And, I used to read Essence Magazine a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so Essence Magazine kind of helped me dream.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, I like this, I like that, I like this, I like that. And I think that's what made me shift my mindset in terms of I want those things,
Yeah.
I like what I
Yeah.
got. My life is not bad, but I want those things. And I knew like a job wasn't gonna take care of the lifestyle that I wanted.
So what made you, I mean, you saw all of that. I would say that's basically the backstory, the build up.
Right.
What was the pivotal moment for you that, because I know you went to school for nursing.
Yes.
What was the moment for you that says, F it?
To go into entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I didn't take that leap and just straight go into entrepreneurship until recently.
Right, right.
So in the
So
beginning,
when we met,
when
like,
we
okay,
met, yeah,
right.
in the beginning stage, I had cut my hair because I lost my hair from perming my hair, and I was trying to grow my hair back. And around that time, there wasn't a lot of natural hair products.
Mm-hmm.
So I started to make products at home,
Mm-hmm.
and I was testing them, giving them to my friends. Some of them spoiled. And over time, I just learned how to create like the perfect product.
Mm-hmm.
And so me and my cousin went into business together, and we decided to start a hair care line called Imanic, named after her mother and my mother.
Okay, got it, got it. And that's some banging products because the body butter is really good.
Yeah, and so now so I was dibble dabbling in 9 to 5 and entrepreneurship, but the entrepreneurship world was still a part that I was learning.
You knew you wanted to go there though,
I
because from
knew.
what you saw.
Oh yeah, I
Got it,
knew like
got it.
I didn't want no boss. I
Mm-hmm.
knew I didn't want nobody telling me what to do, when to do it, what time to come to work. I knew that.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't a big jump in the beginning of, my journey to
Right.
jump into entrepreneurship. It was just more of, I knew that I wasn't going to be doing this 9 to 5 for long. What made me go into nursing is I ended up being pregnant with my son,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a lot of fun in college. I did
Mm-hmm.
not take college seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got pregnant, I was like, oh my God, okay, so now I gotta really like do something like productive with my
Right.
life. And so, Caribbean people go to nursing. I really wanted to go to school for law.
For law.
Yeah, but
I can see you as a lawyer because you're always trying to law with me. You're always trying to.
and but I ended up going to school for nursing, and I graduated school as a nurse, and a few years in, I was like, I hate this shit. I was like, I can't do this forever. I was like, oh hell no.
Right.
But that's why I ended up going to nursing school, is because I knew nursing was stable. I knew it was recession proof. I knew like people would. It was.
You always need a nurse.
You always need a nurse, and at that time, still right now, nursing pays well.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. That's cool because when I look at that, for me, it's the complete opposite.
Mm-hmm.
Where coming from Jamaica,
Mm-hmm.
coming here in 2000, school was the way for me.
Mm-hmm.
It was go to school, get good grades, do well,
Mm-hmm.
and when you get out of school, you could find something to do.
Mm-hmm.
And my first job was Wendy's. Second job, I only had 2 jobs: Wendy's and Applebee's.
Okay.
Wendy's I did for like a year.
Mm-hmm.
Applebee's I did for 10 years, 10 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
But being at Applebee's, I stayed there because I saw my managers, my supervisors, or my area directors, they were making 100 plus.
Wow.
And when I did the math on that, I said I could chill at 100 plus.
Mm-hmm.
I'd get free food.
Mm-hmm.
I don't got to worry about nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't until we had, so that was for me. It was like, I'm cool with the job and taking care of my kids
Mm-hmm.
because the job would have given me money.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to buy food a lot because
Mm-hmm.
when my family came to eat,
Mm-hmm.
manage a card, I would
Okay.
comp their meal.
Right.
So I was looking at it like I could do the 9 to 5 thing.
Mm-hmm.
I get off 2 days a week. I mean, I was working 60, 70 hours a week,
Mm-hmm.
but I wasn't there.
Right.
Now, I wasn't there for, like, I didn't have kids at the time,
Right.
so I wasn't missing anything, but I was missing family functions. Like, I would miss birthdays, I would miss graduations
Mm-hmm.
because the restaurant industry don't close.
Right.
Right? Holiday time, we working.
Right.
I missed every Mother's Day.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I was celebrating Mother's because my mom passed,
Mm-hmm.
but being in the restaurant industry, you miss everything because people always eating food. So I had the security of the money,
Mm-hmm.
but I did not have the quality of life because I was working like 60, 70 hours a week.
So when we met, we met where you was working a 9 to 5. I was also working a 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
And what made you end up having this entrepreneur spirit if when you came to the States, you was all about, let me get a good job and just
Oh,
work?
that's a good question. I think a couple things did it. One, my grandmother had passed away.
Hmm.
That's when we first met.
Okay.
And I remember promising her some things
Hmm.
and I didn't complete those things. So it was
Mm.
like God like shook me up. He was
Hmm.
like, yo, life is not guaranteed.
Right.
Wake up and smell the coffee. That was
Right.
one.
Hmm.
The second thing was we were having MJ. Like we were
Hmm.
getting ready to have a baby,
Yeah.
right? MJ.
Yeah.
And I did the math and I said, if I'm making this amount of money per biweekly
Right.
or per month
Right.
or per year,
Hmm.
it don't add up to the lifestyle I want to give you and her.
Right.
I was like, I don't have enough money to take care of you, her, and the family. And I don't have the lifestyle. I don't have the money to do the things I want to do.
Mm.
Not to mention there was no time available.
Yeah.
So you gave me the book Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Hmm.
And that book changed the way I looked at things.
Hmm.
Because before I used to work for income. And when I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, he said wealthy people don't work for income. They work to create assets.
Mm.
And the assets generate the income.
Hmm.
So before I was using my time and my body to create income
Hmm.
because I didn't know about assets. I didn't, and I made a lot of money, but
Hmm.
I was spending that money over and over and over.
Right.
So it was basically just a wake up call
Okay.
of just crunching the numbers.
Right.
Just how much money you making per month, how much you making per year, what is the lifestyle that you want to live. So for
Hmm.
me, my goals and dreams were here,
Hmm.
but my income was here.
Hmm.
And it was like, okay, I'm not going to make it.
So, what made you realize that entrepreneurship was the way to go? Why didn't you do the typical get another job?
I saw people leave Applebee's to go get another job at Chili's,
Hmm.
which to me never made any sense.
Okay.
Because if you work at one restaurant, why would you leave one restaurant to go to another restaurant?
Hmm.
It's the same BS,
Mm.
right? It's the same people not tipping. It's the same dealing with lazy coworkers. It's the same dealing with annoying managers. It's the same thing.
Hmm.
So when I looked at it, I was like, if I ever leave this place, I'm gonna go learn a skill. And that's also what Rich Dad Poor Dad talked about. He
Hmm.
talked about learning how to sell.
Mm.
So the skill that I chose was personal training,
Mm.
right? I had a gift where I'm really good with exercise. I'm really good with looking at somebody's body and saying, "Hey, this is how you need to work out. This is what you need to do."
Mm.
But I wasn't certified. So
Mm.
after sharing some of the things I wanted to do with you,
Mm.
we remember that conversation we had.
Yeah.
I said, "Hey, Felicia, I'm
Yeah.
90% good,
Hmm.
but there's 10% of the times where I don't know if I can make it."
Right.
And if you could be there to just be my foundation and be my rock, that
Hmm.
10% of the time, we're
Hmm.
gonna be all right.
Right.
So, with that, I took the leap.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't just jump into it. I
Right.
planned it,
Right.
right? I gave my job a 90-day notice.
Hmm.
I told them New Year's Eve would be my last day.
Hmm.
I also quit around the time where I knew tax season was coming up.
Okay.
So I knew I had money coming in from taxes.
Hmm.
And I also took a strategic leave of absence with my vacation. So
Mm.
when I left, I also took my vacation time as well. So
Hmm.
I didn't just jump. I had like a little
Hmm.
plan in a
Hmm.
way,
Hmm.
but I jumped into a skill.
Okay. And I wanted to point, because you said three things. A lot of times people know, like, okay, I don't want to be here. I hate being here.
Yeah,
I hate Monday kind of vibes.
yeah,
And you said something that was very powerful. You're like, I didn't just leave my job.
yeah. I didn't just
I
jump.
kind of had a plan. It
Yeah,
wasn't a plan that was going to set me off for a
yeah.
year,
It
two
wasn't a year. It was
years,
like 90 days,
you
maybe six
know.
months. What was 6 months? It was like 4 months.
But you let your job know that you was leaving in 90
I give
days.
them a 90-day
So
plan. Yeah.
you basically made the decision.
Mm-hmm.
There's practically no turning back
Yeah.
unless
Decision.
Then after you made the decision, you kind of structured your leaving around the time that money was going to come in, which
Right.
is your income tax,
Right.
right?
So I had a vision and I saw money coming in. Yep.
Right. So which mean that the income tax coming in, which mean like, all right, I would be good for a couple of
Couple of months. Yeah.
weeks.
Couple of weeks. Couple of weeks. Couple of weeks. Right. Right. Right.
And then on top of that, what was the third thing you said?
I also took a strategic leave after my vacation because I had
Right.
time off. I took those as
Right.
well.
So your PTO and all of
Yeah.
that stuff, you make
Vacation
sure,
time.
like,
Yeah.
thank God I ain't take no time off, because
Yeah.
now I'm gonna take it when I
I'm taking
leave.
everything at one time.
When I leave.
This is the last vacation I'll be
Right. So
here.
I wanted to just bring that back, because it's important for you to know, like, everybody is different. Like, he took the leap and it was structured. When I took my leap into entrepreneurship, I just quit my job.
Well, I also took a jump into a skill though.
Right.
Some people take a jump from one job and they go straight into business. Jumping into a business is not jumping into a skill.
That's true.
Because you like being at Applebee's, there's so many things I learned, right? I was running a $1.5 million store.
Right.
So I knew how to lead a team.
So you let them know, like, you know, he became a manager at Applebee's.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I was I was Applebee's for 10 years. So I worked my way through the ranks. I did host, server, bartender, corporate trainer, where I went around an open restaurant. I wrote schedules, I created schedules, I hired people, I fired people.
Right.
So I knew how to run a business. I just didn't know how to run my own business.
So while you were going through the process of the 10 years, right? Was there something inside of you telling you like, hey, I'm learning these skills and these skills will be good in my future? Or was it one of those moments where it was just like, man, I was just working. It wasn't until I left that I realized like, wow, this was really a setup for where my future is now.
I did. You never know when you're in a situation that's going to set you up for a future situation.
Right.
I was just showing up, doing the best that I could do.
Right.
Like, I was just one of those guys where I just always try to do 120%. It wasn't until just the other day when we were talking and I was like, Felicia, I know how to do a lot in business.
Right.
Like, I know how to lead large teams.
You was doing SOPs.
Yeah. I know how to create systems. I know how to create procedures. I know how to create paperwork to document everything.
Right.
And I also love teaching people.
Right.
So, but which also goes into personal training too. Personal training, your past or the current job that you're in has given you some type of skill set that if you can find a way to put a business model around that skill set, you can take a leap on that skill. Okay. And that's basically what I did. I took a leap on the skill of leadership, teaching, coaching, communication, and management.
Okay. I have 2 more questions for you.
Yeah.
The first
that's the first time somebody ever asked me that question, by the way. I'm thinking about it right now. I don't really talk about my story a lot.
The first question is, you know, when we got together, you explained how you took the leap into learning a skill. Now, what leap did you take into entrepreneurship?
What leap?
Yeah.
I
know personal training is a part of entrepreneurship because essentially you're a personal trainer.
You're self-employed. Yeah, you're kind of creating your own.
Right. So what leap did you take into like the entrepreneurship stage that was like a big
I think the big move for me was when I was a personal trainer and you introduced me to our Herbalife mentor. And you know, I went up there twice to meet that lady. And the first time I was like, that lady want me to sell supplements. I am not doing that.
Right, right.
And then you said, go back and go meet with her. And I went back and she gave me a whole bunch of free stuff.
Right.
But what made me take that big leap was you told me something powerful. Now, I don't think I'll forget this. You said to me, Damo, don't see yourself as a personal trainer. See yourself as a person with a Herbalife business building a supplement company who just happens to be a personal trainer.
Right.
So that means if you tell somebody drink this shake, they're going to drink it because your word is gold.
Right.
And when I switched my mindset from a trainer, I was able to put on my business mind and I started to look at building a distribution network. So that's what made me take the leap, because building a distribution network, it really allowed me to focus on creating assets, which to today is we're still focused on creating assets.
Right. And my last question is, how did you deal? So in a 9-to-5, you get in a check, you punch in, you get a check. Okay. And the stability is wonderful. But when you're working as an entrepreneur, you know, what did you do? Like, did all that money that your income tax money last? What, like, you know, what did you do? Like, I was pregnant, you know, I was having a daughter for you. And like, you know, times were tough. You know, times were tough because, you know, I was working as a nurse, but, you know, but when we both went into entrepreneurship, would you say that working the 9-to-5 was easier than entrepreneurship?
The 9-to-5 was way easier because when you go into entrepreneurship, 9 out of 10 times you're taking a pay cut. 9 out of 10 times. And I took a pay cut. I took a pay cut from making, you know, money at Applebee's to my first client being $10 a session.
Wow.
$10 a session. I only had one client. So we were getting results, but I only had one client. Plus,
Right.
I was paying for gas.
Mm-hmm.
It's a financial pay cut,
Mm-hmm.
and it's also an emotional strain
Mm-hmm.
because you as a person, you as a man, if you're not grounded in yourself, or if the person you have, is not very supportive,
Mm-hmm.
it can tear the relationship apart.
Facts.
So
Facts.
and that's some of the things which now I have a question for you
Yeah.
because one of the things that we discovered was we have different money blueprints,
Yes.
right? We have different money blueprints,
Mm-hmm.
not just us, but one of the biggest reasons why couples don't make it
Mm-hmm.
is because of financial reasons.
Correct.
So what would you say was one of like the biggest challenges that you had to deal with
Mm-hmm.
as a woman,
Mm-hmm.
as a wife,
Mm-hmm.
as a mom,
Mm-hmm.
when your husband wasn't financially able to
Mm-hmm.
bring home the bacon? He was bringing
Right.
home, because I used to give you my check,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
I used to make like, I used to train those boys, those
Yeah.
college boys,
Yeah.
those high school
Yeah.
boys, soccer boys,
Right.
and their dad would give me like $150,
Right.
and I would tell, I was like, hey, here it is. What we doing with this,
Right. Right.
right? So I was making money. It just
Yeah.
wasn't what we wanted.
Mm-hmm.
What was some of the things that you had to tell yourself
Mm-hmm.
to handle those mental or those financial challenges we went through as a couple?
I think what was really big in our relationship was I met you when you had a job.
Mm,
I met you when you had a job. I also, getting to know you, I realized that you had vision.
right.
You wasn't a bum.
Uh,
You wasn't,
Vision.
you have vision. And so like when you came to me, you said, I'm 90% good and I need 10% foundation from you and for us to make this work. And at that time I was a nurse and you was
Yeah.
like, hey, I'm thinking about leaving my job.
Yeah.
Some people would be like, something, what? You leaving your job? Now we
Yeah.
need that check.
We're having a baby. Yeah.
But because I had an entrepreneur mindset, it was very important that this time around that the relationship that I was in also
Mm-hmm.
had an entrepreneur mindset.
Yeah.
That's why I gave you Rich Dad Poor Dad,
Mm-hmm.
because I knew that I was going to go back into entrepreneurship and I
Mm-hmm.
needed somebody not to pull me away from it and tell me the job is the answer to all your all
Mm-hmm.
your problems. And so what kept me grounded in our relationship was, number one, I saw how you were when you had a job.
Mm-hmm.
He was very disciplined. Like he was the type of person who would never call out.
Yeah.
He worked,
Yeah. I'm out.
and he wasn't cheap with his money. He took care of me. He took me out. He spent money on me, and you could tell he had a different money blueprint. He was able to save money too. And so I said, okay, if you do this while you're at work, then that's just part of who you are.
Yeah.
So I knew that moving forward, it's just up from here. It's not
Yeah.
that you wasn't the type of guy who you got paid to spend all your money.
Yeah.
You didn't spend no money on me because you could afford. You wasn't selfish. You wasn't cheap. Plus, you had vision, and I think what it was is that you had vision and you took action. So, like
Yeah.
when you say that you wanted to do something, you not only did it, but you did it like beyond.
Yeah.
You did it top notch. So I had hopes in you
Mm-hmm.
to be an entrepreneur and make millions of dollars and not me be taken care of. I was nervous about it because I seen those characteristics in you from the beginning.
Right.
So you telling me you're quitting your job? I was with you for some time before you quit your job. I was like, all right, let's go. I'm a nurse.
Right.
I'm gonna hold it down and we're gonna do what we gotta do. Let's go hit 1 million.
That's awesome. I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
A lot of times we see, especially us, we see a lot of couples too
Mm-hmm.
that have a lot of potential.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that stops them is they don't work together as a team.
Yeah.
Right. And we're going to talk about that. But before we talk about that, guys, listen, if you guys are getting something from this episode, do me a favor. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you don't miss another episode from us. But also make sure you like and share this and hit that notification bell because we got some really, really useful information for you guys. Right. I want to transition a little bit and fast forward a little bit. So here we are. We started our own business.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We got a health club.
Mm-hmm.
But we did it together.
Yes.
A lot of times when we see couples, it's usually one of them in the
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneur world
Mm-hmm.
and one of them in the job world,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It's usually the wife in the entrepreneur or maybe the husband vice versa. It's a one-on-one. One is a
Correct.
job person, one is an entrepreneur person.
Yes.
What advice would you give to that couple who one of them have a job, one is an entrepreneurship, and they want to do something not necessarily together, but they have the same goals
Mm-hmm.
or they have the same desire for
Mm-hmm.
their family,
Mm-hmm.
which is financial freedom,
Mm-hmm.
financial independence, freedom of time,
Mm-hmm.
and options to be able to go where they want,
Mm-hmm.
right? What advice would you say from a personal story you would give to a couple like that?
So the advice that I would give is, when you're in a relationship, the husband is going 50 hours left and the wife is going 50 hours, right? Probably even more hours,
Right.
And it was important that me and you, we decided that it was important that at least we had 10 hours going to each other for business.
For business.
For
yeah.
business.
For business. Yeah.
And I think what was the pivot for me is, like I shared with you, the reason that I gave you Rich Dad Poor Dad was, number one, to test you, because I had my own little test going on. But number two was because I wanted us to be on the same page. I think a lot of times couples are not on the same page in terms of where they're trying to go. And the reason they're not on the same page is because you have your own mindset and I have my own mindset. And yes, I can speak to you about my mindset and you understand, and you can speak to me about your mindset and you understand. But it's like, for me, the book was like a therapy session. I read the book, I had my own thoughts on it. You read the book, you had your own thoughts on it. So now, what are we going to do to make sure that we created an environment around those thoughts from the book so that we could get to the goal? Because at the end of the day, it's three things that we want. We wanted freedom of time. We wanted to be able to financially be well off, and we wanted to feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
You understand? Yeah. And besides the fact we wanted to be there for the kids, we
create
wanted
legacy
to be there
and
for
all of
the
that.
family
Right.
and all that stuff. So I think sometimes couples are blindsided. They're blindsided to the fact that you want a Mercedes Benz, but you're only making $15 an hour. And you want a big house, but you're only making $15 an hour.
Right, right.
So if you want to get these nice things, you know that you need to make more money.
It's like a delusion.
It's a delusion, It's like you think like, okay, well, my rent is only this, my this, but then what money are you actually saving?
Yeah.
So it's like, the math is just not math.
The math is not math.
So it's like, I think we was, in the entrepreneurship, or from all the seminars that we would went to, it's like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
Yeah.
So a lot of people's like, I'm gonna be rich, I'm gonna be wealthy, I'm gonna do this, but you're working a 9 to 5 and you're not investing your money, you're not doing anything. So you're like delusional, and you're in your own insane world.
Yeah.
So in order for us to have been able to kind of work together, number one, we had to read a few of the same books.
Yeah.
We are very fortunate that, I think it was just alignment that when we met each other, that you read the book. Not only did you read the book, but we went to the same seminars.
We were in the same, we were the husband and wife team in network marketing.
Right. And that's because we knew we had a vision for ourselves separately.
Yeah.
We have a vision for ourselves as a couple.
Yeah.
We had a vision for our family. We knew what we wanted and where we were trying to go. So I would say what couples deal with is, the wife is tired working here, the husband is tired working there, and then now you're trying to tell me let's do something together. Nah, let's just stick to getting paid every week and paying these bills.
Yeah.
The fact to think is work.
It's less work. It's more work, but it's less work because thinking is work.
Thinking is work. And what happens is a lot of times people don't necessarily sit down as a couple, think, map out, game plan, and execute.
Yeah, that's big. That's big. Staying right where we are right now, let's talk about sacrifice. Right? You're making a sacrifice in a 9 to 5.
Right.
Because you're making the money, but you don't have time.
Correct.
So you're sacrificing time.
Yep.
In entrepreneur world, when you first start, you have a lot of time. You may not have any money.
Correct.
Still making a sacrifice.
Yes.
If you got to make a sacrifice on both sides, what side would you say, or would you recommend somebody make a sacrifice for, and why?
Everybody's relationship and life is have their own dynamic. I could only share me, and hopefully what I say may inspire something or spark something in you. So to me, it was just like this saying: is the lemon worth the squeeze? You understand?
Is the juice worth the squeeze?
Is the juice worth the squeeze? So what it was for me is 9 to 5, stable income, but I didn't get to spend time with my son as I wanted to. I wasn't 100% present mom. And by the time I got home, I was exhausted and all I wanted to do was sleep, right? And then eat, gain weight, all that stuff. 9 to 5, I mean, entrepreneurship, I found fulfillment because I was choosing to do something that I wanted to do. However, the money wasn't coming in consistently like the 9 to 5.
Yeah.
However, I did have time.
Yeah, a lot of time.
I had a lot of time, but I didn't have the money. And I knew that in entrepreneurship, all I had to do was certain activities to get to the money. Yeah. So just be disciplined on the activities to get there. So the juice wasn't worth the squeeze for me in the 9 to 5 because I seen what my mom went through. Yeah, yeah. The juice was worth the squeeze for me in the entrepreneurship world because I knew that there was no ceiling to what I can do.
I love the fact that you said that the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. And it's not that somebody can't do it in the 9 to 5 world. You would need the right information. Because going back big. Now, when I was getting those type of paychecks, I wish I knew about buying stocks. I wish I knew about investing. I wish I knew about buying silver, gold, or just buying assets. Yeah, right. Definitely. So you could still do it with a 9 to 5 job. That's not what we're saying. We're saying is you're gonna have to make a sacrifice either way. Yeah. Because even doing that, you're sacrificing.
And the sacrifice is based on you, you know, what you consider the sacrifice. You know, the sacrifice to me was, man, I'm not going to be able to spend time with my son. Yeah. I'm not going to be able to buy this. I'm not going to be able to do this. So like, you know, sacrifice look different for everybody. But we knew like we wanted to be by the time we was like 40, 50 years old, you know, on a boat. Yeah. In our mansion, you know, to each his own. That's what we want. Yeah. You know, so it's one thing that I know for sure, like if I were to go back to that 9 to 5 environment, is I would 100% do things differently. What it is too is when you're working the 9 to 5, there's financial literacy that we were not taught. You know, there's people who work 9 to 5 and at the end of their 20, 30 years of working in the 9 to 5 world, they are millionaires. They are well off and they are financially independent. And that's because they were taught, hey, when you get paid, take this amount, go put it here, go put it here. For yourself. You know, you buy some stocks, buy this, buy that. As a matter of fact, growing up as in a Caribbean household, back then, we were taught that those things are scams. Like, don't do that. Don't get no credit card. Credit? Oh, hell no. So we were taught these things that was actually supposed to help us grow, get to the next level, financially be independent. But we were taught those things are not good. Yeah. So the 9 to 5 world, you can make it in the 9 to 5 world how you want to make it, which is, you know, financial independent, fulfillment, and, you know, legacy and stuff. But you just need to know what to do with your money.
Yeah, I think that's very important. And that ties into environment. Yeah. Because environment is everything. When you're at a 9 to 5 job, the people who you're going to bump into is people with a 9 to 5 job. And 9 out of 10 times, all of y'all think the same, right? But if you can change the environment or you can bump into somebody that thinks outside of the box, they can share some things with you. Right. And that information can change your situation. Right. Right. So one of the things that we were fortunate with was we were in a lot of network marketing companies. And we were able to get some really good mentors and really good coaching. And we just copied what they did, right? Now, we didn't stay in all of those companies, but we took bits and pieces of what we learned and we kept it moving. Yeah. And that's some of the stuff that we practice today.
Till today. And I think on a fast track to success and whatever it is that you define as success, to kind of like close off, right? If I was to say one thing on the fast track to success is, you know, wherever you're trying to go, find the person who actually are where you want to be and ask them how. Yeah. It's always find the who to find out the how. Yeah. What happens is we're busy asking our friend who works the same job as us, like, how do I go and I open my own business? Your friend don't have a business, honey.
They don't know.
They don't know. You know, if anything, y'all might do it together, but it'll still be a learning curve. So like one of the best way is to find somebody who already did it and ask them how. I mean, like, if you think about it, if you would, for example, if you thought about opening your own beauty supply store, you know, the Koreans are like, they have that on lock. You feel what I'm saying? But I went to beauty supply stores where I know the owners of the beauty supply store, and all I have to do is ask, you know, continue purchasing from the store. and ask them,
Yeah.
how did you do this? How did
Buy
you do
something
that?
first.
It's like give to receive. But
Yeah.
sometimes, they'll hold the information and they won't find out. And that's where Google come into play.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that's the only way to do it. I'm saying that is one of the ways to do it. So, if there was one fast track thing that people can do to, fast track their success, what would you say?
I would tell that person that you have to pay attention to the time and the era that you're in. And the era that we're kind of like in a digital age where, we have social media and we have all of these things coming up and about. If you can pay attention to the area that you're in, you're able to capitalize and make additional income.
Right.
Because I remember when I was in the job situation, it's not that once I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, it's not that I didn't know about stocks or investing or real estate. I knew about it, but I did not have enough money, or I felt like I didn't have enough money.
Right.
So if you can find a way to make yourself an extra $1,000 to $2,000 a month, that can put you in a situation where you can keep your security, but take that $1,000 to $2,000 and go play offense with it by building assets.
Right.
So I think that will be one of the biggest thing for you, is finding a way to make some more money.
Right.
And making that additional money, once again, is going to require a specific skill. So find something that you're good at or that you know how to do, skill up on it, and then get the right people to show you how to monetize that skill to grow that into income, and then do the right things with that money. Don't take that extra money and go on vacation.
Right. Go out to eat.
What we used to do when we got tax money, we started investing that money back into books, courses, workshop, seminars, because it was just extra money that came up. I mean, it's still your money, but we just used it to skill up.
Right.
And I think if you skill up and then take that money and then go learn how to multiply and grow that money, you can play offense to get yourself where you need to be.
And one last thing, right? If you're wondering, okay, well, I don't know exactly what I do. I don't know what my skill is. I don't know I have no idea, because I was the individual who was just like, what skill? I went to school for nursing, and, I've worked in a lot of telemarketing companies, and, I did dibble-dabbled here. And so you don't really know where you fit in or exactly who you are or what you do. I think like the number one thing is figuring out who you are. Figuring out who you are means taking time to sit down with yourself and ask yourself those introspective questions. I think that would be like a huge start for someone. There's some people who be like, no, I know this is what I want to do. But if you're in a position where you don't know what the skill I should go into, if this is who I am, etc., sit down, ask yourself these questions. And a lot of time, the skills are something that you normally do that's like on the consistent basis, on the regular. If your friends call you and they're asking you relationship advice all the time, your friends, your family, or whoever, you may be the go-to person about relationship, and maybe that's a skill that you need to go into. If you're the type of person and you find yourself watching TV on Netflix and you're always sewing, maybe sewing is the thing that you do. Maybe, the only joy that you get is coming home and you see yourself cooking all the time and the cooking brings you joy. Maybe cooking is the thing for you to do. What it is our skills, our gifts and talents are sometimes locked into the mundane things that we do, and we don't think that's what it is.
Yeah, you don't think what it is.
And so when you take time to figure out who you are by asking yourself, what is it that I like? What is it that people are saying that I'm really good at? And what is it that I'm happy doing? It opens this portal of you understanding, number one, who you are the most, and you having a place where you could be like, wow, this is everything that I do, and maybe I'm gonna go here. And another thing to add to it is, if you're trying to monetize from it, don't think that you can just go make paper cups. And I love making paper cups. It also has to feed the marketplace. It also has to be something that the marketplace need. And so I wanted to just add that tidbit.
Yeah, that was really good. That was really good. So guys, listen, if you got something from this, remember, like and subscribe to the channel. Once again, we are the Entrepreneur Couple, your favorite couple. We appreciate you guys tuning in. And until next Thursday, peace. We out of here.
Peace.
Bye.
Later.